Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. Today we're going to have a look at the second revision of the ESPlay, and this is the ESPlay Micro V2. And this was sent to me by Makerfabs, and as you recall, if you go on Makerfabs website, they have this, which is part of a open source project. If you look on one of those hacker type internet pages that used to link to a project that's on GitHub, that is the board that's in here, and it's an ESP32 based design, not too dissimilar from your Odroid Go's. However, they've got slightly different hardware and how it's hooked up, so it's supposed to be more efficient on the SPI bus, so the screen can be driven a little bit harder and faster. So this is how it actually comes straight out of the box. It's assembled. You can see there's a screen protector on there, annoyingly, because it's underneath this laser cut frame. But what is really quite cool is that it does come assembled. So the laser cut frame is already there, because if you've ever had to deal with these, you always have to pick off all that paper and mess with it. This is just good to go. So I think before we open it up, we'll just have a quick look, because the battery is already installed. It has a headphone socket and it does have the charging port and an SD card already fitted. So I think it's good to go. So we'll just turn that on and have a look. I've hooked up some sound here because it doesn't have an internal speaker. So I've got my pop noodle speaker over there. So we'll pop it on. See what happens. Ooh. And it says here, ESPlay Micro Wi-Fi is on, and go to that address. Because I think if you go to that URL, connect to it as an access point, you will be able to play with the files and things like that on it. Because of course ESP32 has all those functions, and it's a really good platform for learning, by the way. If you want to learn about IoT, this or any ESP32 based platform is the way to go. So it has Nintendo Entertainment System, Game Boy Color, SEGA Master System, Game Gear, ColecoVision, emulators as standard. That's a very retro Pi looking UI, which is pretty cool. Let's just select Nintendo Entertainment System, because I think we're all pretty familiar with that. It does look a little bit clunky with the screen protector on there. And I will show you something. I did actually, let's click reset. I did actually test this out briefly with Contra. That's why it's loaded into it. But there was a list of games. We'll figure out how to get back to that later. But let's just continue. This is the start button here. You can see it's actually pretty good. I mean, let's let it fire up. Now the benefit of these over the other units that you can buy. So if you go to eBay or so, actually I'm going to take the sound out. If you go to eBay or so, you'll find similar Game Boy style units full of games, and they'll all have Contra on them. But this has an additional benefit. If you hit this button down here, it brings up the menu, and you've actually got save states. So you can save, load, although I'm not sure about the icon for load. Yeah, I suppose that's okay. Reset, save and exit, exit. So let's, for example, we just go save and exit. That lets us get out the game. And there we go. And let's see if we can figure out that menu. Which button would be menu? This one? Oh, look, Wi-Fi access point on. Volume, brightness, upscaler, quit. I think there's a slight alignment problem actually. You can see the screen, the left hand side of the screen is obscured, and if I push the frame slightly we can get that. So I might go in there and see if I can move that whole screen over a little bit, but that's fine. Retro launcher, quit. I am a little bit annoyed. Okay, so B is resume, A is select. So probably what I'm doing when I'm selecting this is I'm clicking resume rather than select. So I normally hit this button. Let's try this button. No, that might be the resume. Let's try again. Exit. That's what we want. Let's try this button instead. Okay. So that's the button you want. And you can see there's a few familiar titles, including Super Mario and Snow Bros. So far so good. I think we get the idea. You've got your buttons on the top for your L and R. Where this is an improvement over the previous version, of course, is that it does come with these nice button caps, everything. I did 3D print an enclosure for the old one, but that's a drag. If you just want to play with something, I think this is the way to go. Let's start ripping into this. First things first, let's unscrew it. Now, I think you've got to be a little bit careful with these because they are plastic screws. Interesting how it's constructed. So you've got a nut here on a standoff and then a screw in the top. So it's a screw top standoff. So we might have to end up dismantling it twice at this rate, depending on what components we can see. Screws are out, and there we go. Fortunately, that is all that was retaining the board, so we do get to play with it. I'm going to whip the battery off, put that aside. So you can see there you've got the ESPlay Micro, the USB socket there, and nicely there's a pin header here which is giving you the spylines, or is it I2C, SCL, SDA, 3v3 and ground. So that sounds suspiciously like I2C, and then there's another I2C port. Okay, so you've got 2 ports. I would suspect they're on the same bus though. Your guess is as good as mine. Let's flip it over onto the back. You've got a hang on a minute, how many contacts is this? This wouldn't have video on it, but it might have a microphone in. Interesting. There's your audio anyway, and you can see it's got plenty of lines there. Speaker. So you might be able to solder on a speaker there. There's actually another plus and minus here. We have to go through these instructions or look at the GitHub on this project, but they're adding additional stuff on this board though, so you can hook it up and do a lot of experimentation on there. There's your ESP32. It's a W Rover B. I believe that has the PS RAM internal to it, so that's a very handy device indeed. And there we've got a PCF 85740. I wonder what that could be. It's one of a few things. It could be a port expander, or it could be something to do with the audio. I have to admit, there's an awful lot more glue chips on here than I would normally expect. And then, of course, your SD card. So my gut feeling, and I'm just trying to look up there, my gut feeling is that would be a USB controller chip. If we're going to play this game, we might as well get in and dirty and actually start reading the numbers off here. That's a CH340G, that one there. And as I mentioned, this one here is a PCF 8574T. Moving over here, you've got NXP 1334A. I would have thought that would have been an amplifier, but I'm pretty sure it's not, because here you actually have a PAM amplifier right there, PAM 8403. So it's a lot of interesting items on here, I have to admit. I'm actually quite surprised. They've certainly added a bunch on here. You've got these nice little caps that cover the tack switch that make them a little bit easier on the finger. They're not ideal, but they're definitely better. And you have an 8GB micro SD card. So let's see if we can remove that screen protector. In fact, before I remove the screen protector, let's see how the screen is fixed. Unfortunately, I wanted to move it to the right a bit, but looking here, this ribbon cable looks awfully tight, like it's not really going to appreciate that. But let me just check how it's constructed. Gently, gently, without smashing it. So I'm just taking it out of the frame. Let's work our way around gingerly. The frame itself is actually trying to come off too, so we've got a few options when we come to meddle with this screen. Oh my word, definitely just wants to come off. And you can see under there that it's soldered to the PCB on that edge. I think it's going to be pretty tricky to try to get an extra mil or two out of it, but we'll try. There go the caps. We'll fold it over gingerly. Nice. And there you can see the screen controller. Actually, very cool. If you need to, you could probably service that. Now, I suspect for my requirements, I might want to desolder this and move it along a little bit. That is probably asking too much. The next best thing we can do is just put more pressure on the screen and hold it to the right, and I'm going to stick it back down. Yep, there we go, and you can see there's a distinct white line there, so hopefully that's enough. Let's pop that battery back in. If it doesn't come on, I will be quite alarmed. This is probably the first time that I've really wanted to actually, before I do that, let's see if I can find a speaker. Fortunately, that's the smallest I've got at the moment, but it should work. Just going to solder a couple of pieces of kynar onto it and see if any sound comes out. So fingers crossed, that's what we'll be doing. But I would have to look at the actual circuit diagram to see how they've wired that up, because looking at it, it's not got headphone and speaker output, it's just the one, so I suspect they're wired in parallel. So if you've got the speaker connected, it might mess up your headphones, unless they've got one channel going to one side and another channel going to the other. Oh, there we go, now we've got some sound. This music sounds a bit faster than I remember, but then we were on the PAL version, so maybe the PAL versions weren't quite as fast. But while we're here, let's take off the screen protector. Whoa, look at that, that's a lot better. Right, gonna stick it all back together. Just spotted something, the battery is right in the way of where we want our speaker to be, and if we can move the battery, we can stick the speaker over the M and get the sound out. Oh, so scary. Whew. That wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. We can breathe again. So I'm going to attach the speaker first. It's going to be the most sensitive. In fact, no, the battery can go back in. We'll just move it up to the K. That should be fine. Then, using my skills, my twazzering skills, I'm going to get in there and stick that speaker where it needs to go. So yeah, if you're doing this, leave enough wire to make sure you can get it where you need it to be. Yeah, there you go, straight under the M. Bit of trickiness, you need to get these in. So what I suspect is, get the first one in, and then you'll be able to shimmy them in from the edges afterwards. So the first one's in. Repeat the process. It's all back in one piece now, finally. I think I'm really quite impressed with this. It surprised me, put it that way, because it's not as polished as the Odroid by any means. However, it is quite accessible, isn't it, if you're interested in hacking. I'm pretty sure you could get an Arduino firmware. In fact, I know you can get an Arduino firmware for the ESP32, so if you wanted to experiment with it, you certainly could. That speaker mod makes it infinitely more usable, so I definitely say add the speaker if you can. I'm noticing where I move the battery, it's sitting on the ESP32, so it's bowing out a little bit. I probably would have been better turning it and fitting it probably down there where there's a bit of a gap, but if you're doing that, I'll leave that to you, how you want to do it. I'm just going to turn the speaker down, and even, I think that's probably better. So you can see the screen there, the upscaling. I think it's about $30. So you've got to decide whether or not you want to invest $30 in something like this. Compared to the original version, which didn't have a case or anything like that, I would say this is definitely better. You don't have to 3D print the case. Admittedly, the 3D printed case is quite cute. You know, it does look like a proper gadget, but no, that's fine. I think this is just ready to go, put in your pocket. Comes with everything you need. Turn it on. Maybe fit a speaker if you want the speaker. Yeah, that's fine. Emulation, I can't really comment too much. I mean, I was playing a bit of Contra. It's okay. I mean, your mileage may vary. I know that on the Odroid Go, the emulation was pretty reasonable for, well, these listed systems, actually. So the ability to actually play SEGA Master System games on the road is quite nice, because normally these things tend to be Nintendo centric. So yeah, if you're interested in one, yeah, check out Makerfab's website and punch the buy it now button, I suppose. If you've liked this video, yeah, please feel free to comment down below, hit subscribe, hit that bell button, etc. I don't really say that anymore. I don't like to blow my own bell trumpet. But yeah, or come just chat to us in Discord. There you go. Bye bye.